This week's episode of 86 Charles is brought to you by Amazon. Go to 86charles.com and click on the Amazon link before you do your shopping. In the year of our great reptilian overlord, 2016.
She barely eats, sleeps, and doesn't feel pain, leading doctors to dub her the Bionic Girl. Olivia Farnsworth baffled doctors when she was hit by a car and dragged down the street but walked away without shedding a tear. The 7-year-old, who often goes up to 3 days and nights without sleeping, has a condition is described as Chromosome 6 deletion. She is believed to be the only person in the world to exhibit the three symptoms together.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
Welcome to 86 Charles, with your hosts John Darby and Travis Spencer.
And with that, welcome to 86 Charles. Travis Spencer, how are you?
John Derby, it's good to be here. Always good to be
It
here
is a
with
pleasure.
you. This is a bizarre story about little Olivia. Right?
Yes, Olivia Farnsworth. It blows my mind.
Yeah, it said the car hit her and the only injuries she had were the skin off her toes and her hip where she was dragged was gone.
Yeah.
So she was bleeding a little bit. And they say it should have been worse, except she doesn't seize up like you do when you think you'd be pulled by a car because she feels no pain.
That's all of her natural reactions to tense up and things and to panic and to feel the pain, none of that kicks in because nothing was hurting.
Right. Why drunks always survive car accidents, right? Because they don't seize up.
It blows my mind that this isn't a much more prevalent story. It's crazy that she's been alive for 7 years and this is the first I've ever heard of her.
It's very strange how our news media works, right?
Yeah.
We don't care about real anomalies and strange things like this, and because it's so weird we can't explain it. I don't get how that works. Is it because it goes against everything we know about science?
I don't understand how I have to hear about Taylor Swift's last 6 boyfriends, but I don't hear about the Bionic Girl. You don't hear about the one girl on the planet.
Constantly.
There's
hear about
one of her on the planet. One. And it's not some lame snowflake thing. There's no one that has been built like that before.
Well, John Derby, I'm going to lay down the truth for you of why you don't hear about stories like this. Because the military and the military-industrial complex are fast at work studying this girl, figuring out how they can take this chromosome 6 deletion and implement it into their super soldiers that they're creating right now. They don't want you to hear about it. They don't. If you know about it, then the enemy knows about it. You are the enemy.
I wish I could refute that greater, but there's probably at least a shred of truth to that.
You would think so. Well, there's definitely doing gene manipulation. There's designer babies.
Oh, I know.
Where you can pick eye color and hair color. So it's like when we break it down to the genetic and chromosome level, and before we know it, it's going to be like, oh, you want synthetic skin or real skin? We can give him harder skin so that when he falls over, he doesn't get hurt. And then we're going to turn him into super soldiers. And then we're going to, along with the drones and super soldiers, we're going to just be able to turn these robot, android, bionic people on and off and start wars all over the world. It's insane. Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready for that. But what if we remove the war element of it? Which I know obviously in real life is not going to be the case, but just for the sake of this conversation, I mean, we're talking about real life X-Men. We're talking about mutants, and I don't mean to say that in they're freaks sort of a way, but in a we might be able to genetically modify people moving forward and start to make people that are more or less indestructible.
I don't like the sound of it, man.
I know, it's weird. It's part of it sounds good because, hey, that'd be great. What if we were, what if we could physically do things that we couldn't do before? But
right,
it's scary too.
Maybe it'll give the people the power to take on the greater powers that be. So maybe it would be a good thing if we're all these super soldiers or superhumans and it's not just the military doing it, then maybe there will be a check and balance so it's not just these rich 1% reptilians owning everything.
Is this
right?
is this the death of the rich old white man?
Not yet. He's pretty smart. He finds ways.
Oh, I know. He's
to
crafty.
Always live. Yeah, but it could be a good thing. All right. Well, shout out to Olivia. Is it Farnsworth?
Olivia Farnsworth.
Shout out to Olivia Farnsworth. We wish you the best.
Stay safe.
Here are some scenes from the next episode of The Bionic Woman.
Oh, yeah. Go to ballershaveclub.com before you get your freak on. We ship you 2 sets of blades. One for the moneymaker, the other for the heartbreaker. All for one baller monthly price. Why 2 sets of blades? You can't shave your face the same as below the waist. Be a hunk from your face to your junk. You don't trim the bushes with a lawnmower, right? You can't eat a banana before you peel it, right? Before you put your Richard in a box, make sure you tighten up his locks. You're saying to yourself, this is too good to be believable. You don't have to take it from me. Listen to my man, Dr. Evil.
There really is nothing like a shorn scrotum. It's breathtaking. I suggest you try it.
BallerShaveClub.com.
Baller Shave Club is not real, and you should not go to ballershaveclub.com, but you should go to 86charles.com and click on Amazon so we can be balling for real. Thank you. Nickel what? 5 topics currently trending. Travis,
Yes,
do
sir.
you want to hear about a Pakistani teenager?
Please tell me all about Pakistani teenagers.
So a Pakistani teen cuts off his hand after a cleric accuses him of blasphemy. Ugh. So the story is the cleric had asked those present to raise their hands if they did not love the Prophet Muhammad. And the teen mistakenly raised his hand. He was accused of blasphemy, and the teen responded by going home, cutting off his hand, and presenting it to the cleric on a plate. The teen has gained a hero's status among locals, and the boy's father was proud of his actions.
So bizarre. So strange. Just this points to exactly how different our culture is from a Muslim dominated culture. It's bizarre.
It's unbelievable from top to bottom.
And that's-
in this story. I mean, obviously, I'm sure these things happen all the time, but I just can't understand.
Right.
In 2016, that not only does this happen, but people applaud it. Well, he doesn't applaud it because he has
in
one
that
hand.
story, what is the sound of one hand clapping,
It
gender?
sounds like blasphemy. Apparently, I just can't believe.
It's bizarre.
It's Stone Age.
Stupid. Yeah, it's 9th century. Absolutely, it's so weird. I don't know what to say without being very insulting. So
what kind of religion is based on?
stop.
I didn't hear the question. I gotta lose my hand.
I know. Let's move on.
Moving on.
So a head transplant was carried out on a monkey, claims Maverick surgeon. Last year, Maverick surgeon Sergio Canavero caused a worldwide storm when he revealed his plan to attempt a human head transplant to New Scientist magazine. He claimed that the surgical protocol would be ready within 2 years, and he had intended to offer the surgery as a treatment for complete paralysis. Now working with other scientists in China and South Korea, he claims to have moved closer to that goal with a series of experiments including monkeys, mice, and human cadavers. So he's got a video on here, and they show mice with their spinal cords cut and reattached, and they don't actually show the monkey. There's nothing about the monkey yet. What do you think of head transplants, John?
I think I'm glad I don't need one, but I'm okay
But
if the tech.
would you?
I'm
Okay, so
if
let's
the
say you
science
get.
exists.
Let's say you become. Let's say you become a quadriplegic. Would you want your head transplanted to a new body?
Sure. I mean, yeah. If I had a body that I could no longer use, but I could still maintain my thoughts and my personality and my memories and things like that. Yeah, you could throw me on a different frame. I could live with that. It'd be weird.
It Right. How many monkeys has this guy killed? How many mice has he? Like, it's kind of strange.
I don't understand how
Mice
it could
you don't feel
possibly
so bad
work,
for.
but there's a lot of things I don't understand.
It's pretty bizarre. I think it's been tried before with maybe even a monkey. There was something in the 70s, I think, but I think it's like an ethical issue now, and like it didn't really work, so like it hasn't been tried for a long time. But he's saying he has the science, and it's in a certain gene that's in your spinal cord, and you have to make sure that or this substance, something. I love chopping up science stories like I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm sure the people love it too. All right, let's move on.
Speaking of head transplants, don't blame pot for teens' IQ drop, study says.
That's right.
Smoking pot can be a health concern for teens, but it is unlikely to cause a decline in their thinking abilities, a new study finds. Instead, the results suggest that if teens experience a cognitive decline, other factors, such as genetics or that young person's family environment, are more likely to be responsible for the drop. The implications of the new findings are that it is unlikely that the exposure to marijuana itself is causing children to show intellectual change.
Boom. That's good to know, because of late, maybe it's just because I'm, early 30s now, I've started to question a lot.
About what? Life?
Like how much damage did I do to my brain pre-18, before I had really developed?
Yeah, I think the damage to your brain has more to do with all the other chemicals. I think the weed is the least of the concerns.
Yeah, I agree with that, but at the same time, there's probably an amount that can hurt you, and I'm probably pretty close to that threshold of how much weed that I did smoke when I was very young. So, I don't know. The jury's still out, man. Jury's still out.
I think this should at least be a encouraging study for you.
And the other chemicals, like maybe a little bit of LSD, but I've never really done too many chemicals, bruh. Only smoked crack once.
Right,
Come
I forgot.
I mean, you want to talk chemicals, we could talk LSD, crack, as opposed to Coke, or even Coke. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
I'll break down every drug for you on this show. Every single drug.
Moving on.
All right, moving on. You going to vote for Hillary Clinton
No.
this year,
Nope.
John Derby? No? Not a Hillary Clinton
No.
supporter? Maybe this will change your mind. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton recently made unusual comments regarding the existence of extraterrestrials during an editorial board meeting with the New Hampshire Conway Daily Sun. Yes, I'm going to get to the bottom of it, said Miss Clinton when questioned on the subject. I think we may have been visited already. We don't know for sure. Along with that, her campaign chairman, John Podesta, has had great interest in the UFO phenomenon. He has made me personally pledge we are going to get the information out, said Mr. Clinton. One way or another, maybe we could have a task force go to Area 51. Dun, dun, dun. Along with that, the press secretary, is that what he was? No, he's the campaign chairman, excuse me, said that his biggest regret of 2014 was not getting full UFO disclosure out to the public. He wants all the secret documents held by the government to be out for public consumption. And also, Bill Clinton has said some things over his life about how he'd like all of that to be made public. So, I'm thinking, if it comes down to it, this might be what pushes Hillary Clinton over the top. What if she reveals something in the campaign and everybody's like, oh, she's going to tell us more about aliens? Would that change your mind? Would you vote for her then?
No. I think it's cool because I like aliens and I like alien stories. Well, okay, I don't even know if I like aliens. I like alien stories. And I think it's great that they want them to be public record and all of that. But no, her running on an alien platform is not going to get me to vote for her. Absolutely not. Now, if an alien came down and said, hey, she should be your leader, I would that might change my opinion, yeah.
I would think the exact opposite. Like, if she wants to disclose the information that the government has, I'm fine with it. If it comes down that she's in cahoots with an alien, nah, I'm not voting for her. I'm going Bernie. Bernie's not an alien. Well, he might.
You have
be
no idea.
I don't know. But I'm not gonna be like she's standing next to an alien on the podium. Like, oh, this seems like a good idea. Yeah, right. I've seen way too many movies that I'm never gonna vote for the person with the alien connection.
But you hate all movies.
I don't hate.
So why
all
would
movies.
you listen to that?
I just hate 97% of them.
I think it's a good 99%. What was the last movie you saw you really liked?
Ex Machina. Me, you, Rick, we all know. Great movie. And it's up for an Oscar, I think, best original
So
screenplay,
anything with
right?
robot sex you're into.
Well, I mean, It helps. It definitely doesn't hurt a plot.
I've never seen one I didn't like. All right. Oscar winner Jamie Foxx helped rescue a man whose crashed pickup truck caught fire Monday night in front of Fox's home. Brett Kyle, 32, was driving his Toyota Tacoma, quote, at a high rate of speed in Moore Park, which is a town in Ventura County, California, when the truck left the road, traveled into a drainage ditch, and rolled over multiple times. The truck landed on its passenger side and caught fire, with Kyle still inside. It was Jamie Foxx and another Good Samaritan who ran over, broke the window, and cut the seatbelt and got the driver out.
Thanks, Jamie Foxx. Great work.
Kudos to Willie Beeman.
Is this a ploy for like a stranger than reality movie he's going to do where he plays himself in this film?
No. Tom Cruise has had like 3 separate incidents of like saving people's lives from weird things.
Do you think that's real?
To an extent. At least one of them was, because it was somebody just getting pushed up against a barricade and he just pulled them out. But they could have been crushed.
Tom Cruise is like 4'6". How's he pulling anybody out of anywhere?
Well, he just happened. I think he was the only one that really saw it, and people are going to listen to Tom Cruise when he starts yelling at him to back up. But
I wouldn't listen to Tom Cruise if he started yelling. If he told me to back up,
what would you do?
I'd be like,
what would you do?
Man.
Just stand your ground?
I'm a level 9 Thetan Alpha Cupido. You can't talk to me like that, bro. I'm from the volcano. All right, dude.
All right, if that's what you said,
so
I'll
what
buy
I'm thinking
that.
for this plot. So the guy's hauling ass in this Tacoma after he just had sex with a hot robot, and he's trying to get away from the husband of the robot who. Hold on, I got to work this out. It's not there yet. Okay, we're working on it though. We're working on it. All right, let's
It's our $1
move
million
on.
episode.
Jesse's favorite part of the show.
From last week.
Hello, folks.
So I think I'm going to do something a little different here. I went home to Maryland this past week, more or less leaving when the podcast came out and returning when I was supposed to have recorded. With wall-to-wall family interaction, the general haze I've been in as a result of the red-eye I didn't sleep on, and me not really knowing what day of the week it is, I find myself too behind to catch up. So, instead of talking about my favorite part of last week's podcast, I think I'll just talk about my favorite part of last week. And you probably think it was how my mom continually referred to the new DiCaprio movie as The Revenator. But that's just a fun quirk. She refers to Chipotle in the possessive Chipotles as if Mr. Chipotle runs the shop. So the Revenator is on Mom's brand. Maybe it was the return flight, where the guy on the aisle was only able to sleep in hour-long increments in between me awkwardly tapping him on the shoulder asking him if I could get out to pee. Maybe it was how I forgot to pack any loungewear whatsoever, or that my wardrobe is totally ill-equipped to handle the feels like 7 degrees forecast. But it wasn't any of that. It was watching Alex Smith lose to the Patriots and thinking, he's never going to win an NFL championship for the good people of Kansas City. But 2 weeks ago, he won the unofficial 86 Charles Fantasy Football League Championship for the good people of me. This is Jesse, and never letting go was my favorite part of last week.
Alex, how you doing? Deion Sanders. How you doing, man? What's up? How you doing? How you feeling? Good. Awesome. I'm not happy with you not having a podium. I'm serious. I'm not happy. Was that your choice?
No, I didn't get a choice. Was there a choice?
See, I'm not happy about that, man. I'm serious. This is a former player to another player. You're partially responsible for these guys getting here. Do something as inconsiderate as that upset you?
Not at all. I mean, didn't know it. I mean, obviously, those guys that started, there's only so many podiums.
It's time for the failed athlete perspective. Travis.
John Derby, don't call me Travis. You can call me the
Oh,
Oracle.
God.
You're the Oracle? Bingo.
8 for 8 in these playoffs.
I'm going to call you Randall Vegas.
I'm crushing it, bro. Crushing it.
How much money have you won?
I won $5
Oh,
on
okay.
FanDuel
So your knowledge
this
is
weekend.
worthless.
That was fun. But yeah, that's what really pissed me off this week because I picked all 4 teams correctly against the spread even. I'm on fire, but I didn't go to Vegas. I'm hoping to go to Vegas maybe for the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to be in Vegas before then. If the Cardinals go to the Super Bowl, though, I think I'll go to Vegas.
Have you not put a bet on the Cardinals in your previous trips to go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl?
No, I did last year, but I didn't this year because by the time I went there this year, the odds were
Gotcha.
They weren't good. At the beginning of the season, they were like 30-1, and then they went down to 22-1 right away, and then they went on a big winning streak, and they were already shit, so it wasn't worth it. But let's talk about that game. That was an incredible game.
It was. Tough to watch, but a very good game.
Yeah, obviously not what I wanted to see. Carson Palmer came out and looked okay, and then for the majority of the game, he looked like crap. And then in the fourth quarter and overtime, he picked up his jockstrap and started to be a man again because he remembered that he's a good quarterback, and just because it's the playoffs doesn't mean you have to cry. And maybe he was worried about tearing an ACL like so many years ago.
I don't know why you're being so hard on Carson
first
Palmer.
Playoff
That game
win.
should have been
That's crazy.
14-0 in the first quarter. That would have changed the entire game.
Right. Well, then, are you talking about the Patrick
Yeah.
Peterson?
Well, I'm
return?
talking about the illegal hands to the face that cost the Patrick Peterson return.
Yeah, that happens on every play. I hate when they do that. It's not like I think it's illegal hands to the face if you grab and it jerks him, but if you get it up there and then move it, I don't think that's a penalty, you know?
I mean, I get why they called it, but that if they had been up 14-0,
yeah, it was
oof, that's a whole different ball game.
But incredible. Aaron Rodgers throws 2 Hail Mary passes. Have you ever seen 2 Hail Mary passes in a row in a game?
That 4th and 20 and then the Hail Mary to end it in the same game, that's crazy.
All right, so let's talk Panthers. What happened in that game? Like they're up big and they stopped.
Panthers played half of a game, and
over,
Seattle
right?
played half of a game, and Panthers half of the game was better. No big deal.
Panthers have given up. They've had a couple shootouts like that where their defense isn't very good. They give up a lot of points. And they get a lot of credit for their linebackers and for Josh Norman, right? And one of their safeties is really good too. I forget his name. But Jared Allen's probably going to be out, so that helps us. They don't have an edge rusher. So they've got good guys up the middle, and they got linebackers. So matchup-wise, I'm feeling pretty good. Because even if Norman shuts down John Brown, they're probably going to put him on the speedster. Or Floyd. I don't think he covers slot guys. So Fitzgerald might have one hell of a day going against Kuechly and Davis. I like that matchup. I think he can beat those guys as good as they are, you know. They need to get David Johnson loose, though. He didn't do much in that Packers game. I'd like to see him get loose.
I don't even know what there is to break down. Arizona's going to go in there and show Carolina their heart before it stops beating. That's it.
We're going to lay the Kangol down.
There's not a matchup on that field that I don't think we have an advantage in. Maybe at running back, I guess Jonathan Stewart's probably better than David Johnson. Okay.
No, the matchup that gives us trouble is Greg Olsen. The Cardinals.
Yeah, they definitely have a better tight end.
Always struggle with tight ends. So that's it.
Okay,
so the line is Carolina -3.
Arizona by 10.
Who you got? You're going to say Arizona's going to blow them out. I'm taking Arizona. I'm taking the +3. And I think the Cardinals are going to win. I think it's going to be closer. It's going to be within
Arizona
3 or
by
4
10.
points.
Get out of
but
here.
the Cardinals will win, and the Arizona Cardinals are going to the Super Bowl. You heard it here first, folks.
You didn't hear. We've said it all year.
I know my pick from the beginning of the year is Cardinals Patriots. So that's pretty awesome.
This is a foregone conclusion. The Kangol just has to show up.
Let's move on to the AFC. Patriots look good. Julian Edelman makes them a completely different team. And obviously when they use Gronk like that.
Well,
right?
Gronk, but that's what allows Gronk to be Gronk, is that you have to have that other threat. You have to have that other thing that teams are afraid of.
Right. Because their whole offense is predicated on getting off the line and Tom Brady getting rid of the ball.
Did you hear what Brandon Marshall said about Edelman? It blew my mind.
No.
He said Julian Edelman has 15 routes in his route tree. Do you know how many Brandon Marshall has?
Wow.
Brandon Marshall's one of the top receivers in this
15?
league. He runs 3 routes in his route tree. Julian Edelman runs 15.
That's crazy.
That is unbelievable.
That says a lot. No, I love that connection. They're good. Do the Broncos have any chance against them? Or do you want to talk about either of those
have
games?
A chance.
Not really. Peyton Manning doesn't. There's nothing about him that scares me.
But he's probably not going to cost them a game either. So you're going to have to go in there and beat Denver.
I don't think that's too hard to do.
How many teams have done it this year?
Pittsburgh minus a fumble by their third string running back would have beaten them, right? With Ben Roethlisberger with an injection into his shoulder and a torn ligament, and no Antonio Brown, and they almost beat him. They're so beatable, very beatable.
Everybody in this league is beatable, but Denver has not been beat much this year.
Arizona Cardinals.
Peyton's probably as healthy as he's been all year, if not in the last year and a half. And that defense is as good as any defense in the league. So if they get that, what if they get that running game going? If I told you Denver had 120 yards out of C.J. Anderson, you'd give Denver a heck of a chance to win that game.
If C.J. Anderson has a huge game, Denver will score 21 points, but it's not going to matter because
they put up over 20 points last week, and C.J. didn't have a huge day. They got 15 off a field goal.
The only way Denver is going to put up more than 24 points is if they have a defensive touchdown. And so that's what will swing the game. Not the running game, not
they
their
put up
offense.
more than 24
if they get a
last
defensive
week
touchdown.
And did not have a defensive touchdown.
They put up 24, exactly. They put up 24, one touchdown and all the rest field goals.
But I don't care how they get the points. They still got points. If you put yourself in a position to kick 5 field goals, you still moved the ball.
Okay, so the line is New England -3.
I think New England wins, and by more than 3.
So why are you blowing Peyton Manning?
Because
so
I think
much
it's
over
I don't
him?
think it's this foregone conclusion. I'm not going in there saying Denver's going to get crushed. I don't think that at all.
It's going to be a game, but they're not going to win.
I agree.
Of course, it's going to be a game. It better be a game. It's the AFC Championship. If it's not a game, then then we'll see Brock Osweiler.
The AFC Championship wasn't much of a game last year, if I recall.
No, there's usually one that's right. Yeah, but I want both games to be good. I'm hoping for a good game, but I think the Patriots can blow them out. It could happen, but the defense should be good enough to hold them in it. I'm just saying the only chance that Denver has of winning is to get a defensive touchdown. I just don't think they can put up enough points. But we're both agreeing that New England's going to win.
But I disagree that Denver's only chance isn't a defensive touchdown. I think offensively they can get enough done. I think the defense has to play well, and they have to get stops. I don't think they need a touchdown, though. No.
What are you, 6 out of 8? Are you 6 out of 8 so far in the playoffs? Okay, so I'm 8 out of 8. So your only chance of catching me is to pick something different than me, and then pick.
Why do I want to? Because hey, guess what? Too. I've made the exact same amount of money as you have. So our picks have meant exactly the same.
Off FanDuel. Did you make $5
Except
off FanDuel?
For I'm in line to make quite a bit of money when this NBA season ends, and your Suns are up in flames. I'm in it for the long con, bro.
I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about the Suns. All right, so we both got Arizona, New England. We'll talk NBA real quick.
We only have to talk about one game.
LeBron James listened to one of our episodes, and he heard you say the way to stop Steph Curry is to knock him down. So, in the game on Monday, LeBron James grabbed Steph Curry and threw him to the ground, and they lost by 34 points. Now LeBron's not going to listen to our podcast anymore because you don't know anything about basketball, John.
Have you ever listened to one of our episodes? Because if you had listened to the episode that apparently LeBron listened to, you would have heard that I said you have to stop him while he's scoring and has the ball, not to throw a fit while he's setting a pick on you and chuck him to the ground like a bully. It's not at all what I said.
No, it was about being physical with him. They tried to be physical. LeBron
no, he
was angry.
He was out of frustration. He picked up a little man and threw him down. That's all it was. It had nothing. That was not even a basketball play. I thought it was great. I want it on a poster.
It's crazy. I mean, you don't want to mess with LeBron anyway, but Jesus, the way
like a rag doll.
Steph's like 6'3", 180 pounds. You know,
Steph Curry's slight for an NBA player, but he's big for a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was 180, I would feel good about myself. You know, if I could put on, that's like 15 pounds. So yeah. Let's talk Suns real fast.
Long Babby is a bloody wanker.
Oh, wait, let's not talk Suns because they're
what is there to
pathetic.
talk about? There's how many games below 500?
All we can hope is that we bust this team up soon. We're past the 14th. Trade should be coming any day
Let's
now.
see what happens at this
just
trade
keep losing.
deadline, see if something gets going here.
You know what I was thinking? I would totally trade Brandon Knight for Goran Dragic right now.
Why?
Let's get the team back together, man.
If I've moved on from the Dragon, you have to move on from the Dragon.
No, I still believe.
And he's hurt right now. We don't want him.
doesn't matter. We're tanking the season. I'll trade for him right now, and then we'll bring it back next season. Him and Bledsoe.
We need to get rid of Keith for Zoran Dragic.
Kindred spirits.
That's the real plan. Let's bring Zoran home.
You can't let that one out.
Bring home Zoran.
Out yet.
Hashtag Zoran come home.
Anything else, John Derby?
ZD to AZ.
Here are some scenes from the next episode of The Bionic Woman.
Zoran Dragic getting the minutes and getting the production with 22 points.
It's time for the Facebook World News Update. This Real to Someone News Update is brought to you by The Pressure's High, just to stay alive, 'cause the heat is on. A man in Chicago said, "Hey guys, you all know that we can see when you click like on garbage clickbait, right?" He sees you being dumb on his timeline, and it bums him out. A woman in Los Angeles said she cannot even begin to explain how proud she is of her man. She means seriously, he is working so hard and killing it. He just signed an amazing commercial agent in LA, and she can't wait to celebrate with him. Don't let anyone stand in your way, baby. We got this. Heart emoji, video camera emoji, heart emoji, hands clapping emoji. Hashtag my forever love. Hashtag together we will conquer.
Hello, children.
NASA press release March 7, 2014. After searching hundreds of millions of objects across our sky, NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer aka WISE has turned up no evidence of the hypothesized celestial body in our solar system commonly dubbed Planet X. Researchers previously had theorized about the existence of this large, but unseen celestial body, suspected to lie somewhere beyond the orbit of Pluto. But now, there is a different story coming from scientists at Caltech.
What we have discovered is that numerous features of the Kuiper Belt, a field of icy debris beyond the orbit of Neptune, can be understood if the solar system possesses an additional ninth planet that resides well beyond the orbits of the known planets.
What the fuck is happening?
When we look at the outer solar system, we realize that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions. But the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet, also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. It went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
Did they really not know? Are they lying to us? Why is NASA lying to us? Fuck. I don't know what to do. Should I believe an ancient alien theory in the writings of Zecharia Sitchin on the Anunnaki and Planet X, or should I believe in NASA and the US government, the lying bastards that they are? I honestly don't know who to believe anymore. Good night and good luck.
A man in Los Angeles said he feels the situation with guns would be resolved if only two people with opposing views on it would argue about it on Facebook. A man in Chicago said anybody mad at Ricky Gervais is gonna S their bloomers when they see him hosting the Golden Globes in 2032. Our robot overlords will be just outraged. You know how robots be driving. A woman in Boston said, "Whoa, just saw a retarded Asian. That's like a peg-legged unicorn." She forgot the C. This Real to Someone news update is brought to you by The Pressure's High, just to stay alive, 'cause the heat is on.
Dad's got notebooks. We don't know what's in her notebooks. She's gonna show us all her notebooks. Little yellow pad.
The first thing in this little yellow comp book is dated 9/10/11, which is a magical date, and it says, Bir şeymek ister misiniz, which is, would you like something to eat, in Turkish. And then it goes down and it lists a bunch of other Turkish phrases, because this was me in 2011 preparing to go to Turkey with my friend Karen, which we did, and we had a good time. But the takeaway was that if you make the slightest effort, I mean, this is true of a lot of countries, but in Turkey especially, if you make the slightest effort to know some of the language, the results will far exceed the amount of effort that you had to put into it. So I could say çay var mı, which is, do you have tea? And I will then get treated as though I was, a long-lost relative who has just shown up and sang traditional Turkish songs and offered a giant plate of hot baklava to someone and, converted to Islam. Like, I am treated like in such a kind way by making the small effort to learn how to say something in that language. And so, cut to 2013, I am somehow invited to an event with the Turkish Minister of Culture who was going to be in town. So it's me and a bunch of people from studios and guilds and filmmakers and diplomats and people who, Turkish community, etc. And we're in this hotel in Beverly Hills, and I'm at this giant table, and I'm thinking I'm going to have some breakfast, and maybe it's Turkish breakfast, which is super good. And I am going to listen to some people talk, and it's going to be, sort of entertaining. And, it's this giant U-shaped thing, and there's like 50 people there. And at the front dais is the Turkish Minister of Culture and his translator. And all around the table are, person. Next to me is like, the head of some studio. And, the other side is like some president of some guild. And then there's me, And as we're, waiting, this nice lady comes around and starts handing out microphones. And she sets one down in front of me, and she says, "Oh, excuse me. When the microphones come around, will you please introduce yourself to the minister? Tell him what you're here for. Thank you." And then she goes on to tell everyone else the same. And I'm like, but what? Excuse me? And I realize that I'm now expected to get up in front of this group of people and talk to the Turkish Minister of Culture about something, about the film industry. And it's like standing up in front of your high school class if you have never met them and half of them speak Turkish. I don't know what I'm going to say. I haven't prepared anything. No one told me I had to do anything. So I'm sitting there terrified, eating my, simit and cheese. And, people are going down, and they speak to the Minister of Culture, and then the translator translates to him, and he translates back to her. He speaks to her, she translates back, and then it goes from person to person. So, Bob Smiley next to me or whatever is like, "Hello, I am Bob Smiley from Metro Golden Fox Studios, and we are going to go to Turkey and spend $80 billion shooting movies with your incentives, and we're going to make movies just like Skyfall." And, the translator's like, "Oh, Skyfall." And then the Turkish, Minister of Culture says back to her, "Oh, Skyfall." And then she says to Bob Smiley, "Thank you." So now it's my turn. And I'm like, I'm going to look like a complete jackass. So I pick up the mic and I sort of think, and I decide I'm going to use my sexy voice because, of course. And so I have the microphone and I'm holding it probably too close. And I'm like, "Marhaba, nasılsınız? I'm a writer. I've been to your country 2 times. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful country, and writers like beautiful things because they are inspiring. And I'm inspired to write by being to your beautiful country. And writers don't spend money. Teşekkür ederim." So I've really just said hello, thank you, and I don't spend money. And again, you would have thought that I was the Turkish Minister of Culture's like long-lost relative and had a giant plate of hot baklava, because he gets this giant smile on his face, talks directly to me in English, which who knew he spoke, because he certainly didn't speak to anybody else, and says to me, "Oh, you speak Turkish." And I said, "Evet, biraz Türkçe konuşuyorum," which is, yes, I speak a little Turkish. And he says, "Oh, you must come to my country." And I said, "Well, I have been to your country, but I've not been to Ankara." And he said, "Oh, you must come to Ankara." And I said, "Ankara geliyorum. Teşekkür ederim." And he's like, "Oh, teşekkür ederim." And I say, "Oh," And I sit down. And so then he goes on, and, the translator, they talk all around the table. And, like Bob Smiley's looking at me, and he's like, well, that was pretty impressive. You speak Turkish? And I said, yes, because that's always the right answer when Bob Smiley asks you anything. Anyway, the lesson here today is take a minute, learn how to communicate with people, and you just might get your picture taken with the Minister of Turkish Culture, and then you can tweet it, and then you can go to his house in Ankara and visit all his family and friends. So, teşekkür ederim. Güle güle.
Osmanisches Reich, Bruder, jetzt sind wir wieder da. Beschütze mein Volk wie ein osmanischer Janitscher. Ja, mein Padişah, Fatih Sultan Mehmet Han. Konstantinopel eroberte in jungen Jahren. 1, 4, 5, 3, Herkunft die Türkei. Ay Yıldız Records.
I've brought bread
to men, women, and children.
I've brought water with lemon for the table.
I have hot tea.
Can I box that for you?
I'll bring your change.
Okay, so I used to work in a supermarket when I was a student. You have the pallet gun. It's a pallet roller thing, yeah. So you drag the pallets out, and it was a big pallet of 2-litre bottles of Coca-Cola. So wheeled it out, and I tried to park it, push it in, but it wouldn't fit by a millimetre. I was like, come on! Kind of forced it, or pushed it as hard as I could, and you're in the drinks aisle, top shelf, nothing but 2-litre bottles of juice. I went, come on! Shoved it with every fibre of my being, and it caused a kind of vibration, and all these bottles of juice toppled. But it was quite weird. It's like this freakish occurrence where about 20 of them landed on the bottle cap, and it just went boom, and they started shooting up like rockets. And bouncing off the ceiling, everything. Yeah.
And was that the last job? I mean, the last day of your job?
No, it's okay. But they never cleaned the ceiling. I was there 4 years through uni, so for about 2 years, the ceiling was covered in brown goo, brown syrupy goo. Yeah. So there you go. There's our story.
That was the return of Alan Oliver. Thank you, Alan.
God, I love
another
hearing
good
that
story.
voice.
Appreciate it.
Such a great voice.
I could just listen to him read recipes, and I would be intrigued.
Yeah, I'm probably we'll have this sound drop over and over again when he goes doo 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 doo.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Now, love it, Alan. Thank you so much. Good story. That's bizarre. They all fall right on their cap, stay there, and then shoot up. It's pretty freaky. I'm thinking of physics. What's the physical probability that would even happen?
Well, here's the thing. If you went and took a 2-liter, and especially if it had been shook up at all, and you dropped it right on its cap, yeah, it's going to do that.
I'm just saying that the probability that so many of them, or how many did he say?
No, I mean, it was probably a few.
Oh, I thought he made it sound like it was 20. All hit their caps and shot up.
Either way, that's a hell of a mess.
It's awesome.
I've had kind of the opposite. I picked up a case of wine one time, and they sent it to us with the bottom not glued.
Ooh.
So it had been stacked on top of other ones, and so it's I took one off the top, and that was fine. And then I picked up another one, so it was a stack of 3 or 4, and the second one in, lifted it up, the entire bottom came out. All 12 bottles just shattered.
Right. The only thing I can think of, one time somebody broke a bottle of Goldschlager in a cooler.
Ugh.
That's the only thing I think and I had to smell that shit every day. I walked into that cooler, and I still can't drink Goldschlager to this day.
Smelling
I hate
Schlager.
It's disgusting. Schlag.
For the longest time, so my brothers and I, we were all pretty young. We were eating pizza in the living room, and my oldest brother, I don't remember how it happened, but for some reason threw a piece of pizza up on the roof, on the ceiling. And we had the old popcorn on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And so for I don't know how long, years, there was this weird grease stain on the roof that my mom just didn't see. but we always saw it and we would laugh about it because we knew it was a pizza stain. And then years down the road one day, she was like, "What is this on the ceiling?" And we had to cop to it that we threw a piece of pizza up there years before.
Right.
And she couldn't find the humor in it. And it was there it's been recoded now because there was some sort of like water damage or something. So they ended up having to like re-popcorn the ceiling. So you can't really see it anymore, but we all know exactly where it is, where it's like, that's where the pizza stain was for years.
Old pizza spot.
Pizza stain on the roof.
That's the worst thing about that popcorn. It's like impossible to clean.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks again, Alan. Great story. We love hearing from you.
Always
Please send us
appreciate
more.
it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Who we got to thank, John Derby? Give some shout outs.
Well, obviously we've got to thank Alan. Appreciate Alan Oliver coming through again. Got to thank Deb Loftis.
Always. Thank you so much, Deb.
Let's sprinkle in a thank you for Jesse McIntosh.
I'm not going to thank Jesse this week because he beat me in fantasy, so I don't really want to talk
so
to
we'll
him,
take away the sprinkle. We'll put in a full helping of a thank you for Jesse.
I appreciate your effort, but you're not going to get a thank you.
Oh, I'd also like to thank the guy from the pizza place that brought me Faygo root beer. Faygo, the official soda of Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, the ICP. Do they drink it on stage? They crush it? Do they slam
They
it?
drink
Do they shotgun
They spray it over everybody.
Faygo.
But it freaks me out because it's a regional brand that doesn't belong out here.
Regional to where?
At least like the Detroit, Michigan area, because that's where they're from. And then other parts of what I'm guessing is probably the Midwest.
Times are changing, man. Faygo's got a better distribution
I'm
than
telling you,
ever
dude.
before.
Juggalos are everywhere.
Just like 86 Charles, we've got this distribution network called the Internet. You can find us anywhere.
But where should they start?
Well, you can start at 86charles.com.
86charles.com?
86charles.com.
What
and then you can go to the Twitters or the Instagrams at Company Blaster. Hit us up, drop us a line, tell us what you think of Faygo.
What if they wanted to buy some Faygo off of, say, Amazon? What would people do?
The best way to buy anything off Amazon is to go to 86charles.com first, click on the Amazon link, and then when you click through, we can get a little scratch. We can get a little Faygo off your Faygo, if you know what I'm saying.
No one knows what you're saying.
Because that doesn't make any sense. I mean, but if you're looking for some peri-peri sauce or whatever you're into, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, toys, movies, games, a lot of, this week it was Deftones. I wonder who's buying Deftones albums.
No, we know exactly who that is. It's Rick.
Shout out to Rick.
It's always Rick.
But yeah, you can help us out by clicking through. There's a bunch of Amazon links on the site. It's not going to cost you anything extra, and we appreciate the effort.
We most certainly do.
John, as always, you know what time it is. Leave us with one word.
Bionic.
New boy in the neighborhood. He lives downstairs and it's understood. He's there just to take good care